UNTV News and Rescue.
Tonight on Y News, the Philippine National Police or PNP says amending the anti-wiretapping law can help in capturing illegal drugs suspects.
The PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group investigates the group behind the assassination plot against President Rodrigo Duterte.
The Philippine National Police negates allegations that the Adicta couple was still alive before being rushed to the hospital. Lawmakers question some irregularities in the implementation of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program or 4Ps.
The Commission on Elections pushes for the amendments in the Omnibus Election Code.
The Philippine Embassy advises Filipinos in Singapore to take precautionary measures against the Zika virus infection, which already reached 100 cases. Y News begins now.
UNTV News and Rescue Command Center. This is Y News with Angelo Castro III, Gerry Alcantara, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. Some senators have highlighted the need to amend the existing anti-wiretapping law. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
Amending the anti-wiretapping law will aid the Philippine National Police, National Bureau of Investigation, and other law enforcement agencies in their fight against illegal drugs. Senator Panfilo Lacson, who heads the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, earlier expressed his agreement in including drug cases in the exemptions for wiretapping. He explained it can only be those cases concerning national security, such as sedition, rebellion, and inciting to sedition. In the hearing earlier, law enforcers admit that they're still having difficult time catching drug convicts who are still using communication gadgets inside the new Bilibid prisons. Through these gadgets, drug lords operate even while in jail.
We're not in any way capable of intercepting electronic communication.
No, sir. No, I wish we have that capability.
Senator Panfilo Lacson is skeptic to this. He says PNP has enough equipment to wiretap devices.
Ang alam ko, there are available equipment, tracking equipment, monitoring equipment, merong available. Whether or not nakapag-procure sila, whether through the procurement law or through other means.
Senator Laila de Lima also agrees in amending the wiretapping law.
I agree that we should consider relaxing the rules or the law on the anti-wiretapping law insofar as convicts are concerned. Because they have no business really having communication gadgets while inside the Bilibid.
The PNP supports it as well. Though she agrees in amending the law, Senator Laila de Lima insists there should be limitations on wiretapping for it is prone to abuse.
Kasi inulit na naman nila. Noon sinasabi na nila yan and then inulit na naman nila. Oh, sigurado yung cellphones mo tapped or bugged. Sabi ko, wala akong pakialam. Who's violating the law here? Who's violating my rights, especially my right to privacy?
PNP, on the other hand, denies wiretapping the senator.
Nagdududa siya, sabihan daw siya na winawiretap siya. O talaga bang winawiretap siya? Ako rin, nagdududa rin ako dahil yung cellphone ko. Minsan, nawawala yung signal, minsan parang hinihigop. Duda ko rin na winawiretap ako, pero hindi ko masiguro.
Meanwhile, Senator De Lima is doubting the authenticity of new evidence pointing to two of her former employees having bank accounts related to drug operations. These accounts were the alleged conduits used by De Lima to receive millions of pesos from drug lords in exchange for protection.
That's an entire fabrication. That's an entire first, the alleged existence of the accounts, that is a fabrication. I don't think those two would have those accounts. Instant millionaires nga sila.
Department of Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre confirms having these evidence but says they're still studying them.
Tapos yung investigation namin. So, tingnan natin kung paano malilink man yan sa kanya o hindi. There are several persons sa NBP na at least no less than 6.
The lady senator, meanwhile, is hoping DOJ and NBI will be fair in handling these alleged evidence against her.
Ang appeal ko kay Secretary Aguirre, sa director, sa NBI, wag naman po kayong magpagamit. Alam ko naman na matitino naman po kayo mga opisyal, the DOJ Secretary and the NBI Director. Wag na po kayong maging party to any perjury or to subornation of perjury.
Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Malacañan says drug killings are not state-sanctioned. The palace maintains that its campaign against illegal drugs is a success. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The government once again reiterates its stance that drug killings are not state-sanctioned. The statement was made after a certain church official said that during martial law, drug killings were rampant.
Drug killings, again, are not state-sanctioned, and that we also have to clearly and carefully make reference to the fact that certain deaths involving policemen may actually be cleansing operations by scalawags in uniform, and that these matters are already under investigation.
Meanwhile, the Duterte administration says the phase 1 of its anti-illegal drugs campaign is a success. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella says hundreds of thousands of drug dependents and personalities have surrendered during the first 3 months of the Duterte administration. The second phase of the campaign has just started, which includes the investigation of police officials who are allegedly involved in illegal drugs operations.
That phase 2 of the campaign has already started. That phase 2 of the campaign has already started with the investigation of police officers involved in illegitimate operations.
Phase 2 also includes the rehabilitation of hundreds of thousands of illegal drug users. Various private sectors have expressed their willingness to support and help the government in this endeavor. Secretary Abella also says the groundwork for the rehabilitation center promised by China has already begun.
Actually, there's the groundwork has begun. Initial groundwork has begun.
Saan po, sir?
As far as I know, it's in northern Luzon.
Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
Philippine National Police Chief General Ronald De La Rosa urges the clients of the Pinoy Pistol Forum to surrender their purchased gun parts. Leah Ilagan will tell us why.
Philippine National Police Chief Police Director General Ronald Bato De La Rosa urged the customers of online store Pinoy Pistol Forum to surrender the gun parts that they have purchased. This following the expose of the store's helper Wilford Palma, who was arrested for gun smuggling in Bacolod.
May isa sang customer na may balak umorder ng mga lower end parts daw, sabi niya sa akin, at yun daw gagamitin sa assassination ni President Duterte.
According to PNP Chief De La Rosa, a regular customer of Palma and owner Brian Taala used to order parts of M16 rifles which will be allegedly used to assassinate President Rodrigo Duterte. The customer also used to order 100 upper receiver parts, 40 barrels, and 30 rifle bolts.
Most likely, hindi siguro siya yung gun for hire. Baka pinutusan lang ito ng sindikato na bumili ng ganon para gamitin for that purpose.
Because of this, The PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group will immediately launch an investigation. The Malacañan, on the other hand, remains clueless as to who or what group is behind the assassination plot against the president. Around 4.5 million pesos of gun parts and accessories were recovered by the CIDG operatives in Bacolod from Palma and Taala with the help of the information coming from the U.S. Homeland Security. The suspects will face charges of violating Republic Act 10591 or the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulations Act. Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The PNP denies allegations of the lawyer of ambushed Adicta couple, claiming that based on the results of a reenactment, Melvin Adicta was still alive before he was rushed to a hospital. Mirasol Abugadil will tell us why.
Melvin and Miriam Adicta were already dead when authorities found them last Monday dawn. This has been the statement of Police Regional Office 6 Director, Police Chief Superintendent Jose Gentiles after conducting a reenactment of the incident yesterday.
Separate yung pagka-slump ng dalawa. Face down yung si Adicta si Melvin was able to crawl nung before he was finished up nga. He was able to crawl and then he was finished off by apparently with another gun. As soon as naikarga, dinala sa Malay Municipal Hospital.
The result of the reenactment of the PNP and the responding team to the crime scene in Caticlan Jetty reveals that the dead bodies were already slumped when the authorities arrived. The lawyer of the Adictas has recently stated that the couple's colleague, attorney Bert Cataluna, saw Melvin Adicta alive during that time and was even handcuffed and boarded to a police mobile. Fortune adds that the said lawyer was at the port with one of the children of the Adicta couple to fetch them because they were fearing for their lives. Police Chief Superintendent Jose Gentiles says the responders didn't even know that the victims gunned down were the Adicta couple.
Policemen, not from Malay Police Station, but the public safety company responded because coincidentally they were conducting checkpoint across the not actually across. It's the road. It's the national highway across the jetty port that they usually do.
Gentiles urges the lawyer of the Adictas to put his allegations into paper to prove it. Meanwhile, Police Director General Ronald De La Rosa says they are ready to continue the investigation into the couple's death despite the pronouncement of their relatives that they have no plans to file a complaint.
Mag-investigate pa rin kami dahil that's a crime, that's murder. So mag-investigate pa rin kami kahit hindi sila interesado, kailangan malaman namin ang punot dulo.
Bato will also call for a search for the alleged drug matrix left by the couple at their house in Iloilo. Mirasol Abugadil, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Commission on Elections has reiterated its position that the Omnibus Election Code should be amended. Victor Cosare tells us why.
For the Commission on Elections, if the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections will be postponed to next year, they will have time to craft proposed amendments to the Omnibus Election Code. During the budget hearing conducted by the House Appropriations Committee, the poll body reiterated its appeal to amend the election code that was passed into law more than 3 decades ago.
Legislation, siguro magandang bigyan tuunan ng pansin natin yung Omnibus Election Code and how we can really modernize it. Yung mga various laws ipagsama-sama natin para isa na lang batas. Tapos doon that it is already updated. It takes into account changes in society, technology, use of technology.
COMELEC Chairman Andres Bautista says among the provisions that need to be changed is the campaign expenditure limit. The ladderized system in canvassing of votes before proclaiming the winning candidates should also be looked into, since in an automated elections, the results from the different parts of the country are already known through the poll body servers. Also, COMELEC wants to correct the issue of premature campaigning, wherein a person is not yet being considered a candidate even if he or she has already submitted his or her certificate of candidacy, giving wealthy candidates advantage because they can spend a lot for political ads without being sanctioned by the poll body.
That you file your certificate of candidacy in October, and yet the campaign period only starts in February. But again, that is brought about because of the need to print the ballots with the names of the candidates. You need more time in order to do that.
Some lawmakers are in favor of the proposal.
Luma na rin itong batas na ito, no? Kailangan niyang i-update. At nakita naman natin, no? Halimbawa, meron tayong automated election law, no? That amends the Omnibus Election Code, no? So, pero nakita natin ang daming problema, no? Ng mga nakaraang eleksyon. So, siguro isang panawagan na rin yan sa liderato ng Kongreso, no?
If Congress really will it, then it will happen. Because as you know, this is really about lawmaking and
yes.
law.
Well, definitely the revisions will be coming from us, but of course, the important inputs will be coming from you.
Oh, we can provide that.
Victor Osare, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The League of Barangays in the National Capital Region is not in favor of installing officers in charge to replace them once Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections are postponed. Grace Casin tells us why.
Barangay captains in National Capital Region want to extend their term if the barangay and SK elections will be postponed. League of Barangays National Secretary Ricky Corpus says they were elected by the people and therefore they have the right to serve the people beyond their term. He explains that barangay captains have a lot of work to do, especially in monitoring all drug-dependent surrenderies.
So pero pag nag-appoint, well, hindi na yan galing sa will of the people. From the president, senators, down the line, ine-elect ng tao. And here you are, i-appoint mo yung isang tao na hindi naman alam kung gusto ng tao o hindi.
The proposal to appoint an officer in charge came from Minority Leader Danilo Suarez. The lawmaker explains that if the president himself will choose the OIC, this will ensure that those people will not be involved in drugs. Corpus added that they support the anti-drug campaign of the administration. He, however, said majority of the information about drug protectors came from barangay officials.
Alam natin ang mga nagprotekta, mga general, di ba? Mga mayors, congressman. Hindi barangay, no? Napakaliit naman namin para kami magprotekta niyan.
The group is in favor of postponing the incoming elections because for them, the 3-year term of barangay captains is too short. They asked Congress to legislate a law extending the term of barangay officials to 5 years. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Justice will possibly issue a resolution this month on the money laundering case involving $81 million from the Central Bank of Bangladesh in February. The joint complaints filed by the Anti-Money Laundering Council or AMLAC against RCBC Jupiter Branch Manager Maya Santos Digito, casino junket operator Kim Wong, and the President and Treasurer of the remittance company PhilRem, Michael and Salud Bautista, is now submitted for resolution. Digito's camp asserts that the RCBC management is the one that should be pursued by AMLAC in the money laundering scheme that happened in the Bangladesh bank and not her.
Motorists are experiencing moderate to heavy traffic in most of Metro Manila's major thoroughfares. Aiko Miguel is at Quezon Avenue to tell us why live. Go ahead, Aiko.
Good evening, Diego. Huge volume of vehicles is causing moderate to heavy traffic in most of the major thoroughfares along EDSA. Let's take a look first at the traffic situation here in EDSA. Here at Quezon Avenue, traffic is heavy along the northbound, while traffic is light along the southbound of Quezon Avenue. Both lanes of Kaingin Road, Macapagal Avenue, and in SM Mall of Asia remains light. But motorists will experience heavy traffic along the northbound of Balintawak, North Avenue, Trinoma, Nia Road, and in Timog. Heavy traffic also prevails along the northbound of MacArthur Farmers, Pete Wazon, Santolan, White Plains, Connecticut, Ortigas Avenue, SM Mega Mall, Shaw Boulevard, Reliance, Pioneer, Boni, Magallanes, because there is an ongoing Skyway Stage 3 works along Osmeña Highway and in Quirino Avenue. Heavy traffic is also experienced in Malibay and in Tramo. And in Taft Avenue, Diego, there will be an unloading and assembly of new MRT coaches at EDSA MRT Taft Station southbound at September 3 from 8 p.m. to 12 midnight, and on September 4 from 12 midnight to 3 a.m. And from 1 to 6 p.m. in the afternoon, innermost lanes are occupied, while the southbound of these mentioned roads remained moderate. And as you can see on your TV screen, in Sucat Road, Parañaque City, from going to Sucat Highway, traffic is moderate, but at 8:30 tonight, expect that motorists will experience heavy traffic because Maynilad will start their pipe laying. Going to Baclaran, traffic situation is light. And in Baclaran Rojas Boulevard, Parañaque City, Baclaran Rojas Boulevard going to Coastal Road, traffic is moderate to heavy. From Baclaran Rojas Boulevard going to Manila, traffic is moderate. And in Aurora, Cubao, from Anonas to Cubao, traffic is light. And from Cubao to Anonas, moderate traffic is experienced. In EDSA Guadalupe, from Guadalupe going to Shaw Boulevard, traffic is heavy. And from Orense going to Ayala, traffic is also heavy. In EDSA, in España Blumentritt, Diego, from España Blumentritt to USC España, traffic is moderate. And from España Blumentritt to Welcome Rotunda, traffic is also moderate. In Quezon Boulevard, Quiapo, Manila, going to Loton, moderate to light traffic is experienced. Going to España, moderate to heavy traffic is experienced. And in Letre Malabon, going to C4 Navotas, traffic is light. And from Letre Malabon, going to Monumento, traffic is also light. Now, Diego, we are reminding our motorists that tomorrow is Friday and vehicles with plates ending in 9 and 0 are included in the number coding scheme. That is the latest traffic update here along EDSA. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you, Aiko Miguel, reporting live from Quezon Avenue. Next, NY News. Lawmakers question some irregularities in the implementation of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, or 4Ps.
The Commission on Elections pushes for amendments in the Omnibus Election Code.
The MRT management confirms cracks on train wheel frames.
Y News will be right back. The Department of Social Welfare and Development defends the seeming irregularities observed by lawmakers in the implementation of the government's Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, or 4Ps. Nel Marie Buhok will tell us why.
The proposed budget of Department of Social Welfare and Development for 2017 is more than 129 billion pesos. The proposed budget has an increase of 18 billion pesos. One of the reasons for the budget hike is the government's plan of implementing rice subsidy and the new target of the Duterte administration in the implementation of Pantawid Pamilya Pilipino program, or 4Ps.
Parang nahihirapan yata ang DSWD to hit your targets
According to the data of DSWD, in 2015, only 88% were disbursed from the total allocated budget. As of July 2016, only 34% was disbursed by the department, to which the agency explains.
Most of our programs, the big ticket items does have different spending patterns.
According to DSWD Secretary Judy Tagualo, they are already investigating the reason why Land Bank still has not liquidated the 6 billion peso funds allocated for the 2015 Conditional Cash Transfer Program.
So that is again unliquidated.
By the Land Bank, not by us. Okay? The Land Bank is the conduit.
In the deliberation, the House also evaluates the DSWD system on how the agency identifies the poor families who will become the beneficiaries of CCT. DSWD says it is ready to coordinate with the lawmakers to make the implementation of the CCT program more effective. The department requests more than 78 billion pesos for the 2017 to continue the implementation of the 4 Ps. The House sets another hearing for the DSWD budget on September 13 to address more questions from the lawmakers. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
A former Solicitor General believes that the late former President Ferdinand Marcos has a right to be buried at the Libingan ng mga Bayani or the Hero Cemetery. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
Insofar as former Solicitor General Estelito Mendoza is concerned, President Marcos is entitled to a burial at the Libingan ng mga Bayani. This is in recognition of his deeds fighting against the Japanese during the Second World War.
Ang alam ko lang, yung libingan ng mga bayani, principally para sa mga sundalo yan eh. Kasi yan itinayo pagkatapos ng gera. Kagaya rin sa Amerika, walang makakatanggi na si Marcos kasama ng mga sundalo napunta sa Bataan, na kulong sa Campo Donel at nakulong sa Port Santiago. Yun siguro, hindi maaaring itanggi yun.
Back then, Mendoza is one of the lawyers who filed the case before the Supreme Court to allow the ailing Marcos to return to the country. The court denied the petition, saying Marcos' return is a threat to the national security. Mendoza adds that it would be better if Marcos is allowed the said burial because it will help in uniting the country. He argues that if the Filipinos have forgiven the Japanese for the crimes committed during the Second World War, why then could it not be done for the martial law era?
Itong mga nagre-reklamo, kung gusto nilang makalimutan na si Marcos, dapat ipalibing na nga. Tanong ko sa iyo, sino ang natatandaan mong nakalibing na presidente sa libingan ng bayani? Meron ka bang natatandaan?
Oppositors to Marcos' burial previously stated that burying the former president there will not result in healing and reconciliation.
Hindi kailanman dapat magkaroon ng healing and reconciliation hanggat hindi inaamin ng mga Marcoses na may nangyaring plunder at may nangyaring human rights violations noong panahon ng martial law.
Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The government continues to send more military troops to Sulu after the bandit group Abu Sayyaf killed 15 soldiers last Monday. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
Members of the bandit group. Meanwhile, the AFP also allays the fear over the possibility of an Abu Sayyaf attack in some areas in Sulu. AFP says it is just Abu Sayyaf's tactic to divert the focus of the military's operation.
Itong text na ito ay meant to divert dahil alam nilang malakas na ang ipinatutupad na operation against them. So gumagawa sila ng diversionary tactics na kunyari lulusob sa isang lugar para i-divert yung attention ng ating tropa.
The government has announced to intensify its crackdown on the ASG after the bandit group killed 15 soldiers during an encounter last Monday. The killed troops were given military departure honors today. They were Second Lieutenant Hernan Gusto, Staff Sergeant Roel Katubay, Corporal Dendo Duho, Private First Class Gerald Yubal, Private Lumayan, Private First Class Rogelio Vincoy, Private First Class Nestor Bacaling Jr., Private First Class Roselito Arnoco, Sergeant Erwin Almohalias, and Private First Class Glenn Resma. President Duterte has already vowed to provide assistance to the families of the fallen soldiers. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines welcomes the offer of the Moro National Liberation Front or MNLF and other groups to help suppress the bandit group Abu Sayyaf or ASG. Western Mindanao Command spokesman Major Filimon Tan made the announcement after the ASG killed 15 government troopers on Monday. Before the Monday encounter, MNLF fighters killed 4 ASG members, including one of its sub-commanders in an encounter in Kalingalang, Kaluang, Sulu on August 9. AFP spokesman Brigadier General Restituto Padilla says the military has enough artillery, air, and naval support in conducting the focused operations against the Abu Sayyaf group. The MRT management confirms that cracks were seen on the wheel frame of the trains, but the management assures that the trains are safe to use. Mon Hokson will tell us why.
To appease speculations of the riding public regarding cracks found on some MRT coaches, the MRT management confirmed that cracks were indeed seen on the train's bogie, a frame where the wheels are attached. MRT General Manager Roman Buenafe says, based on records, it was in 2004 when a crack was last found on the bogie.
Meron pagkakamali sila sa pagkamada ng bogie frame at saka ng isang component. Parang madaling sabihin may tumutukod doon na talaga mag-o-occur tong cracks na to.
Buenafe admits that the reason for the cracks was due to a design flaw from the time the trains were manufactured in Czech Republic during the administration of President Gloria Arroyo. But the management does not want to pass the blame, especially that the manufacturer had closed due to bankruptcy. Currently, the management is repairing the frame by meticulously welding the cracks so the public has nothing to worry about because they are already addressing the problem.
Na-assure ko po kayo na ginagawa namin safe ang aking tren, safe sakyan po itong mga to. Hindi po kami magpapaakyat ng tren na walang ayon na safety na inspect ito.
The MRT management adds that they don't have a plan on limiting the number of passengers riding the train despite reports of cracks found on the bogie. Buenafe reports that the delivery of spare parts will be continuous and passengers can expect better operations of the train. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
A common problem at airports is communication between immigration officers and non-English speaking Chinese nationals who enter the country. For this reason, the Bureau of Immigration shall install 12 Chinese-speaking interpreters at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA. Without translators or interpreters, Chinese tourists oftentimes are prohibited from entering the Philippines because they are unable to clearly explain the purpose of their visit to the country.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development has expressed concern about the current ratio of health professionals to patients in health centers in the country. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Malaki talagang pangangailangan yung mga centers, particularly ng DSWD, doon sa mga healthcare professionals na nagpo-provide doon sa mga kliyente niya na umaabot ng 10,000. No, sa ngayon kasi meron lang tayong 144 na field positions doon sa mga healthcare professionals.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development wants to solve the inadequacy of medical professionals and healthcare facilities in the country. Based on the data held by the department, there is only one health professional for every 100 clients in healthcare centers. One of the 74 healthcare centers in the country which DSWD focuses on is the Golden Reception and Action Center for the Elderly and Other Special Cases or GRACES. Currently, there are 1 resident doctor, 15 medical staff, and more than 50 aides or house parents who take care of the elderly. There are 280 elder women and men in GRACES, but there are only 170 bed space.
In terms of medical professionals, we're very much limited but we're surviving. Nakakalungkot pong isipin na hindi pa namin ikinakaka-proud yung mataas ang percentage ng 280 Kasi ibig lang sabihin no, maraming pamilya ang nag-aabandona sa mga lola at lola natin.
There are no available mental health facilities in Graces, so they coordinate with National Center for Mental Health to cater the needs of those elderlies who are mentally ill.
Isa sa mga very challenging na kinaharap ng Graces ngayon is dumadami yung aming mga cases na may mga psychological concerns. Ito yung may mga dementia, psychosis.
Upon entering Graces, one will see that it really needs a larger and tidier place for senior citizens. One of the programs now of DSWD is a development plan for Graces for the set renovation and rehabilitation this year. The plan has more spacious area and have more bed spaces for abandoned senior citizens who really need care. The current administration of DSWD aims to address the needs of the elderly and youth who are in their shelter. It is also important to impart these problems by the department to be addressed so they can also offer better services. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Several distressed overseas Filipino workers were able to come home. Marge Navarro will tell us why.
Over the past few weeks, we have witnessed the struggles and distress that many overseas Filipino workers, especially those in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, have experienced. For its part, the OFW Undocumented for Legalization and Amnesty lamented the slow action of the past administration on the grievances of these OFWs.
Maraming beses na rin po kami sumubok na lumapit sa polo para ihain ito pong aming mga problema. At masasabi ko po naman na minsan sumasagot po sila sa aming mga katanungan. Kaya lang minsan din naman po ang ilan sa amin ay sinasabihan na bumalik na lang kayo bukas or sa isang araw.
The UNTV News and Rescue has consulted with Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III about these concerns.
Ginampanan nila ang kanilang trabaho, hindi ganito aabot sa ganitong kalagayan ng ating mga kababayan.
And since February, the UNTV News and Rescue team has begun assisting distressed overseas Filipino workers with their problems. As a result, more than 100 stranded OFWs in Saudi Arabia have finally arrived in the Philippines yesterday.
Una po sa lahat, salamat po sa Diyos at sa inyo po kuya sa UNTV at sa ating mahal na Pangulo. Doon po sa immigration, hindi namin akalain na nandun po pala yung ating mahal na Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte.
Though they have arrived home, they still hope that they will be able to receive their benefits withheld by their employers as soon as possible.
Sweldo nyo dapat na makuha, hindi nyo pa rin nakukuha?
Hindi pa po nakukuha.
So,
ang
pero
kumpanya...
Kayo naman ay nag-issue na ng special power of attorney para lalakarin na ng gobyerno yon sa inyo. Ayan, pinangako naman din sa atin ni Secretary Bebot yan na ipa-fast track nila yan para hindi naman kayo matagalan ng paghihintay. And pa-follow up namin yung iniintay ninyong makuha. At pinangakuha naman tayo ni Secretary Bebot dyan.
The rest of the OFWs left in Saudi Arabia are hoping to come home soon while the government is closely monitoring them. Marge Navarro, UNTV News and Rescue.
Coming up, the Philippine Embassy advises Filipinos in Singapore to take precautionary measures against the Zika virus infection, which already reached 100 cases.
Tropical storm Enteng exits the Philippine area of responsibility.
World War II shipwreck on Black Island in Palawan offers a perfect dive site.
More from Y News after this break. Tropical storm Enteng exits the Philippine area of responsibility tonight, but rain still linger over some parts of northern Luzon. Rosalie Cos is at the UNTV Weather Center to tell us why. Rosalie, does Typhoon Enteng affect the country?
Good evening, Diego. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAG-ASA says Tropical Storm Enteng exits part tonight. but still enhances the southwest monsoon, which will then bring rains over the western section of northern Luzon.
Okay, Rosalie, give us the weather update.
Thank you, Diego. As of 4 p.m. today, Tropical Storm Enteng was estimated based on all available data at 880 kilometers northeast of Itbayat, Batanes. It has maximum sustained winds of up to 80 kilometers per hour near the center and has gustiness of up to 95 kilometers per hour. Although it is to exit Bar tonight, it still enhances the southwest monsoon, which then affects the western section of northern Luzon. Cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms will be experienced over Ilocos Region, Cordillera Administrative Region, Cagayan, Batanes, and Babuyan Group of Islands. While over Metro Manila and the rest of the country, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms will be experienced. Tomorrow's forecast says temperature in Metro Manila may reach up to 31 degrees Celsius, Tuguegarao City at 32 degrees Celsius, Baguio City at 17 to 19 degrees Celsius, and Puerto Princesa City at 32 degrees Celsius. In Visayas, temperature in Metro Cebu may reach up to 34 degrees Celsius, Iloilo and Bacolod City at 31 degrees Celsius, and Tacloban City at 33 degrees Celsius. In Mindanao, temperature in Metro Davao may reach up to 33 degrees Celsius, Cagayan de Oro City at 33 degrees Celsius, Valencia City at 32 degrees Celsius, and Zamboanga City at 32 degrees Celsius. Diego, the State Weather Bureau says always take precautionary measures against possible flash floods and strong winds brought about by isolated rain showers and thunderstorms. Keep safe, everyone, but lean on and trust in the Almighty. That's our latest weather update. Back to studio.
Thank you, Rosalie Cos, reporting from the UNTV Weather Center. The Philippine Embassy in Singapore advises Filipinos to take precautionary measures following reports of Zika virus infection cases there. Robert Navoa will tell us why.
The cases of Zika virus infection in Singapore have reached 115 based on the report of Singapore's Ministry of Health. 21 Chinese, 13 Indians, and 6 Bangladeshi nationals in Singapore are among those infected with the virus and currently recovering in the hospital. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Health Ministry has confirmed the first case of Zika virus in Malaysia. A 58-year-old woman was seen suffering from rashes and fever when she returned from a 3-day trip to Singapore.
The ministry will intensify its activities, particularly its anti-EDs activities, as a mechanism to control the spread of this disease.
Because of this, the Philippine Embassy in Singapore has released an advisory. The source of the infection is particularly identified at Aljunied Crescent and Sims Drive area. Based on the released advisory, our fellow Filipinos, especially pregnant women, are advised to monitor their health and to consult a doctor if they are exhibiting the symptoms. They are advised to read the latest Zika health advisories on the website of the Ministry of Health. Also, use insect repellent and window screen or wear long sleeves to avoid mosquito bites that may carry the Zika virus. They are also advised to communicate with the embassy when they experience the symptoms to get assistance. Based on the statement of Singapore's Minister for Health Gan Kim Yong, the Singaporean government continues its effort to prevent the transmission of the virus. Singapore is known as the country that has the best healthcare system in the whole world. Because of this, the Singapore government assures the tourists who have plans to enter the country that they will be safe. Robert Navoa, UNTV News and Rescue, Singapore.
Brazil's new president addresses the nation. Meanwhile, China has placed parts of a city in Hangzhou on a lockdown today. March Navarro will tell us why.
In Brazil,
Assumo a presidência do Brasil após decisão democrática e transparente do Congresso Nacional. O momento é de esperança e de retomada da confiança no Brasil. A incerteza chegou ao fim. É hora de unir o país e colocar os interesses nacionais acima dos interesses de grupos.
Brazil's new conservative president Michel Temer delivered his first recorded television address to the nation on Wednesday night after an impeachment trial in the Senate saw the leftist leader Dilma Rousseff removed from office. Temer has vowed to boost an economy that has shrunk for 6 consecutive quarters and implement austerity measures to plug a record budget deficit which cost Brazil its investment-grade credit rating last year. In China, with a huge police presence on Hangzhou's streets and parts of the city under lockdown, final preparations got underway for China's first ever G20 summit. The 2-day summit, set for Sunday, September 4 and Monday, September 5, will see global heads of state. China is sparing no effort to ensure its first ever G20 summit passes off perfectly, enforcing measures to close factories and offering English lessons to elderly residents. Also, the government is spending 10 billion yuan or $1.5 billion on travel vouchers alone to encourage city residents to visit tourist attractions elsewhere and to reduce congestion. And in Cuba, the first commercial flight between the United States and Cuba in 55 years landed at an airport in the central Cuban city of Santa Clara on Wednesday. JetBlue Flight 387 carrying 140 passengers landed at the international airport at 10:55 on Wednesday morning, marking further normalization of relations between the two countries. The new route from the U.S. city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Santa Clara will operate 3 flights every week. It will operate 1 flight a day from October 1, 2016. Marge Navarro, UNTV News and Rescue.
German Paralympians get a warm send-off to Rio to compete in the 2016 Rio Paralympics. Meanwhile, the top 2 cyclists in Vuelta go head-to-head up the final climb for an uphill stage finish. Mon Hokson tells us why.
Back-to-back Tour de France winner Chris Froome slugged it out with his biggest rival Nairo Quintana at the end of stage 11 of the Vuelta of Spain. Froome crossed the line first to win the stage, but Colombia's Quintana retains the red jersey of overall leader with a 54-second advantage over the Breton in the overall classification. It is Froome's first stage win of this year's Vuelta and propels him into second place overall in front of Alejandro Valverde of Movistar. The 168-kilometer stage from Colunga to Peña Cabarga ended with a fierce climb which the whole field tackled together. Meanwhile, Germany's Paralympians checked in at Frankfurt Airport on their way to Rio to compete in the Paralympic Games 2016. It is no rest for Brazil as the curtain closes on the Rio 2016 Olympics. German President Joachim Gauck was at the airport to wave off the athletes and praise the spirit of everyone that had made the day possible. With anti-doping efforts playing a prominent role in Rio 2016, the president of the German Disabled Sports Association said there had to be a zero-tolerance approach. The Rio de Janeiro Paralympics will run between September 7 and 18. The International Paralympic Committee has confirmed that all 22 sports will go ahead as planned. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Facebook founder and chief executive officer Mark Zuckerberg meets with developers and local businesses in Nigeria. Nina Armilio tells us why.
Facebook founder and chief executive officer Mark Zuckerberg met with developers and local businesses in Nigeria during his first visit to sub-Saharan Africa. Zuckerberg, who touched down in Nigeria on Tuesday, is looking to better support tech development and entrepreneurship across Africa. During a question and answer session with developers, Zuckerberg said Facebook wants to make sure the social networking site loads quickly for people all over the world, no matter the internet service they use.
The service needs to load quickly, right? I mean, people don't want to use the service. It's going to take half a minute to load. So we have to make sure that it works on all these different network conditions around the world, right? If you're trying to connect everyone in the world, you know, the community right now has 1.7 billion people, but there are 7 billion people in the world. So there are more than 5 billion people who we need to reach in their native language in the technology stack that they're using.
In June, Zuckerberg's philanthropy venture made its first major investment, leading a funding round in a startup that trains and recruits software developers in Africa. Nina Arbilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Diving beginners and experts alike will surely have exciting and memorable diving adventures on Black Island, Palawan. Brian Evangelista tells us why.
The Philippine Islands are truly amazing that thousands of tourists flock to incredible vacation spots every year. One such spot can be found in the world's famous province of Palawan. Using the UNTV drone, we were able to get a spectacular view of this paradise on Earth. The Black Island belongs to the Calamian group of islands in the town of Busuanga. The island is named after the black limestone formations that surround it, and one of its highlights, a dive site where a World War II shipwreck can be found. Nanshin Maru is a 50-meter-long Japanese tanker, which is a perfect wreck for diving beginners and underwater photographers.
But she sits nice upright on her keel in sandy bottom. Visibility typically is clearer there because we are a little bit out of the island. And so photographers and for people that want to see the whole ship in one go, that's the chance to dive the Nanshin Maru.
Whether it's a hot or cool day, take a plunge into the crystal clear blue waters circling the island. For a hassle-free vacation on Black Island, Palawan, from airfare to accommodation and tour packages, you can get assistance from our ultimate travel companion, the ERC Travel Services. You may contact ERC Travel Services through 0947-393-0393 or on their official Facebook page. Brian Evangelista, UNTV News and Rescue, Busuanga, Palawan.
Those are the reasons behind the news, September 1, 2016. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Gerry Alcantara.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.